Imagine being so shit, so rubbish, so god-awful that game developers would rather have customers pirate their games than buy them from your store. If you are G2A.com, you don't have to imagine that because you, G2A, are shit. You've always been shit, you continue to be shit, and you will be shit for many years to come, I'm sure, you shitters. In yet another reminder that G2A is trash, a number of indie developers have urged their customers to pirate their games rather than buy them via G2A if they have no intention of buying the game from an official source. Now, obviously, these developers would rather you buy the games from an official source like Steam, but if you're not gonna do that, literally pirating the game is better in their eyes than purchasing a key via G2A. G2A, if you haven't heard of it before, is a reseller of keys for games. People can sell unlocks for a number of games across all of the major storefronts, from Steam to Origin to Good Old Games, often at significant discounts, but there's a problem. There's a lot of fraud on G2A. A lot of scams, a lot of stolen keys being sold, a lot of credit card problems. Historically, what has happened is that people have used stolen credit cards to buy keys for games, sell them on G2A, and then when the credit card is eventually reported stolen, the money for the initially purchased key has to be refunded, which comes out of the developer's pocket, including the chargeback fee for the defrauded credit card. So not only has a copy of the game been sold in such a way that the indie developer gets nothing, it's sold in such a way that the indie developer has to pay extra because they're on the hook for someone else's crime. And I focus on indie developers here especially because, you know, a big company like Electronic Arts could take the hit. Not that that means you should defraud them, but they can afford it much more than a small indie studio that quite practically needs every dollar they can get for their games. They simply cannot afford what a company like G2A does to them. Which is why we're now in the ludicrous situation of seeing developers ask their audience to pirate the games rather than use G2A. Because at least in that situation, they simply don't get money for the game being played. They don't have to pay extra out of their own pocket for a sale they see no money from. G2A doesn't effectively police its own store, it doesn't seem interested in that, it's much more comfortable just sitting back and taking money off of fraud. They're just making money off of fraud. This isn't the first time piracy has been presented as preferable to using a reseller like G2A, but it's come up again because No More Robots' Mike Rose pointed out that G2A has taken sponsored ads out on Google so they show up in search results, sometimes even before the official websites for game developers or their games. Even worse, when Mike Rose tried to turn the ads off, he simply couldn't. Google wouldn't allow him to. In response to this, developer Rage Squid simply outright said, "Please torrent our games instead of buying them on G2A." Vlambeer's Remy Ismail then joined in, adding, "If you can't afford or don't want to buy our games full price, please pirate them rather than buying them from a key reseller. These sites cost us so much potential dev time in customer service, investigating fake key requests, figuring out credit card chargebacks, and more." G2A insists it's just the middle person in all of this and therefore cannot be held responsible. It's paid some lip service to making things better, and in 2017 made it so that resellers would have to share their names and addresses, but if they're fraudsters, nothing's stopping them from faking that. G2A isn't just shady. I mean, it is shady, obviously it's shady, but it isn't just shady, it is outright damaging. And if you support indie game development, you should absolutely not support G2A. And if you're a viewer of this channel, I assume you do because, you know, we're so highly critical of the so-called AAA video game industry, with many good reasons, I might add. Just watch yesterday's video about addiction for one example as to why big budget mainstream games are a mess, and the alternative to all that corporate bollocks is smaller games, independently developed games made outside of the AAA machine. I'm not here to tell you what to buy, of course. I'm not going to say you owe it to the world to purchase independent video games, but if you do see one you like the look of, either purchase it correctly, go through official channels, don't use these slimy fucking resellers, or at the very least, if you cannot afford it, but are dead set on playing it anyway, just do what these developers are asking and bloody pirate the thing, if you must. In exchange for their work on the game, you owe them that much at the bloody least. At the least. And if you can afford it, please do buy it. please. As for G2A, that shouldn't even fucking be around. I would lose no sleep whatsoever if they went out of business 5 minutes ago. But unfortunately, they remain a powerful and influential entity in the game industry. The discounts offered are so deep and the company itself is so avoidant of discussion, public discussion about the shady bullshit, that many people continue to use it, often unaware that the keys for the games they're buying may very well have been fraudulently obtained. But if you see someone selling a key to a game at a massive discount, you should probably ask yourself where the saving was made that they could offer it to you for that price. But it's like they say, if a deal's too good to be true, then it probably is too good to be true. And in this case, while you might not be explicitly getting fucked over, you are indirectly fucking over other people. Honestly, fuck them. Fuck G2A. I can't say that enough. And by all means, let as many people know as possible just how shady G2A is, just how harmful, detrimental it is to the industry, how financially damaging it can be to smaller studios, to independently developed games. In essence, this video was just an excuse for me to say G2A is rubbish, to say it's the drizzling shits, to say fuck G2A. But really, that's as good a reason to do a video as any, because fuck G2A. It's poison, and the game industry would be better off if it curled up and died.